If you think you've seen big animals before, chances are you haven't met the giants that lived in ancient times. Back then, even elephants looked small. Before we had cute armadillos and tiny scorpions, the world was home to sloths as big as buses and dragonflies you could mistake for small helicopters. In this video, we'll introduce you to the truly forgotten giants that once roamed the very land we walk on today. And we won't be talking about dinosaurs because, let's be honest, it's easy to find big, scary animals if they're millions of years old and have no living relatives today. But what if I told you that Earth was once home to gigantic creatures that are actually relatives of animals still alive today? In this video, we'll take a look at animals that are more intriguing or even scarier because their smaller versions still exist with us in the world today. Number 10, Arthropleura. Imagine those small centipedes in the garden that are hardly scary. Now, multiply that by 100 and put it in your living room. Congratulations, you've just made an Arthropleura. This titan of the arthropods lived about 300 million years ago. In the Carboniferous period, a time when the Earth's oxygen levels were so high that even small creatures suddenly became giants. And that creature did that exceptionally well. It reached up to 2.5 meters in length, like the mother of all centipedes in history. But despite its appearance, these creatures were vegetarians. It wasn't a predator. It preferred fallen leaves, decaying wood, and a healthy diet from the ancient forests. And even though it didn't have fangs, it didn't need them because its sheer size was already terrifying. Its segmented body had a shell resembling a steampunk nightmare, making it look like a walking fortress. It grew this big because of oxygen, since during that time, the oxygen level was so high that giant insects were possible. That's something that's almost impossible today, which is actually a good thing. And since it had almost no predators, it was the king of the forest. So next time you see small centipedes crawling on the sidewalk, remember, they're harmless now. But back in the day, it had a distant relative that could actually go head-to-head with you. And maybe that's exactly where people's fear of large crawling creatures came from. Number 9, Titanoboa. If you're already creeped out by ordinary snakes, get ready because this is the real nightmare of the tropical jungle. With a length of 13 meters, as long as a school bus, and weighing over a ton, the Titanoboa is undoubtedly the queen of all snakes. If you think today's python is big next to this monster, it looks like a toy, just like a rope for children's games. The Titanoboa lived about 60 million years ago after the dinosaurs disappeared, and the world entered a calmer era. But that wasn't true for the animals that lived in the ancient swamps of South America. Because of that, this giant snake silently waited for any creature big enough to satisfy its hunger, like crocodiles, alligators, giant turtles, and maybe even ancient animals that were unlucky enough to pass by its spot. What's even more unusual is that it's not venomous. It doesn't rely on poison, but on pure strength. It crushes its prey with a pressure that reaches almost 400 kilograms per square centimeter. That's enough force to crush bones like snapping a cracker. It grew this way because of the extremely hot and wet climate back then, and these were perfect conditions for cold-blooded animals to grow without limitations. During that time, the world was like a playground for giants. So, the next time you see an anaconda or a python, be thankful for our current climate because they don't grow beyond 10 meters. Because if the Titanoboa were still alive, they'd just look like pet snakes next to it. Number 8, Megalodon. If the great white shark today is enough to make you think twice about swimming, just imagine facing its ancestor that was 18 meters long and had teeth as big as your whole hand. This prehistoric shark was the fiercest predator to ever swim the oceans. It was the king of the sea and could intimidate even the most ferocious great white shark. Meg, as those who know him call him, lived from 23 to 3 million years ago, and his favorite snack was whales, and any animal that could fit in his mouth, which wasn't hard because he could swallow a small car along with the driver. His teeth could reach up to 18 times like sharp blades, ready to cut through anyone unlucky enough to cross his path. And the scariest part is, his bite force is almost 20 tons. That means he could crush bones as easily as crushing a cracker. And for comparison, the modern great white shark only has a bite force of 1 ton. The Megalodon is really on a different level when it comes to grabbing a quick snack. And the reason it disappeared is because the climate got colder, the whale population decreased, and it ran out of food, and that's where its reign over the ocean ended. It left today's sharks with a huge legacy and a big advantage because they no longer have to compete with it. Number 7. Paraceratherium. To help you visualize how big it is, imagine 4 African elephants stacked on top of each other. That's how big it is. And the most interesting part is that it's actually related to today's rhinos. But it doesn't have a scary horn. And in fact, it doesn't even need one anymore. The Paraceratherium had a long neck like a giraffe, which it used to reach the high branches of trees. Imagine a rhino mixed with a giraffe, then make it as big as a truck. That's the Paraceratherium. Because of its size, it had almost no natural predators. But even so, it couldn't survive the changes in climate and environment. When the thick forests started to disappear and were replaced by dry and wide grasslands, its preferred food became scarce. And because it couldn't adapt quickly, this gradually led to its extinction. Number 6. Sarcosuchus. If you think today's crocodiles are scary, get to know Sarcosuchus, the real monster of the Cretaceous period. It was 12 meters long and weighed 8 tons, like a modern crocodile multiplied by 2 and made even fiercer. And to make it clearer, it was as long as a school bus and had a jaw armed with more than 100 teeth. And these weren't small teeth like those of crocodiles. Instead, they were long and rounded, perfect for crushing anything it bit into. It could eat large fish, but many paleontologists believe that from time to time, it also snatched up small dinosaurs that got too close to the water. Of course, if you could eat a dinosaur snack, why would you settle for fish? Another intriguing detail is that it has a bump or swelling at the tip of its snout, which is believed to be used to amplify sound or to smell prey. But up to now, scientists still don't have a complete explanation for it. This means it could make a hair-raising sound while tracking you using its extremely sharp sense of smell. They lived in what is now North Africa during a time when the area was full of ancient rivers and lakes, a perfect habitat for a lurking and ambushing monster. With its strength and ambush abilities combined, it was one of the fiercest predators even by prehistoric standards. Number 5. Bissel bufo. Meet Bissel bufo, better known as the Toad from Hell, and that nickname is no joke. Imagine a toad as big as a soccer ball, but with the ability to devour almost any small animal that crosses its path. This prehistoric amphibian lived about 70 million years ago in Madagascar and could grow up to 40 centimeters long, but its real weapon was a mouth like a natural vacuum cleaner. And while modern frogs today are cute, quiet, and gentle, the Bissel bufo was completely different. He was a true predator. According to studies, it had an extremely powerful bite that could crush bones, and it was possible for it to bite even small young dinosaurs or any reptile that became careless. And if you think about it, it's the amphibian version of a pit bull. Eating just mosquitoes wasn't enough for it. This one ate hardcore prey, and it's not like the kind of frog that jumps around aimlessly. There's a big chance it uses camouflage to hide among piles of plants and mud. Then when a victim passes by, that's it. Just imagine, you're a small dinosaur just chilling, walking in the forest, then suddenly a frog jumps at you to make you its dinner. And if you already get tense when a frog jumps at you here in modern times, just imagine how big they were back then. Number 4. Megalodon. The Megalodon is like a turbocharged dragonfly nightmare. It has a wingspan that reaches up to 70 centimeters. It flew over the forest during the Carboniferous period, about 300 million years ago. And to give you an idea, it's as big as a modern falcon. And if the idea of a giant insect already creeps you out, just imagine the moments when it flies towards you. This gigantic dragonfly was a very hungry predator, and it's not like the modern dragonflies that eat small insects. Meganora used its powerful jaws to catch bigger prey, other large insects, and sometimes even small amphibians. During that time, the oxygen levels in the air were really high, which allowed arthropods to grow extremely large. And if it weren't for that, this dragonfly wouldn't have grown that big. Imagine the sound when its wings beat above the forest. You'd probably hear the insect's helicopter-like noise before you even see it. If nowadays it's already scary when small dragonflies come near, then you'd better be ready to jump instantly and pray that it doesn't come your way. Number 3, Megatherium. If today's sloth is known for being slow and cute, this giant was very different. It's not a small, cute animal, it's monumental. Imagine a sloth the size of an elephant, about 6 meters long and weighing up to 4 tons. It walked slowly and peacefully through the forests and grasslands of South America and survived until about 10,000 years ago. Despite its size, it was a herbivore, quiet and focused on eating leaves, branches, and shrubs. It was not a carnivore, it did not hunt. Its life revolved only around eating plants and exploring the canopy. With the size of Megatherium's claws, it could knock down entire trees or strip high branches to reach the leaves, as if it were a giant landscaper of the forest. In addition, these claws were also enough to scare off any predator that would dare to come close. All you need to remember is that despite its incredible size, Megatherium was really slow, and its main defense was its weight. It was so heavy that most predators would rather stay away. And what sane animal would attack a creature that looked like a fur-covered tank? Number 2, Pulmonoscorpius. Imagine an ordinary scorpion, the kind you definitely don't want to see, especially when you're out camping. Now multiply that by 10 to 15. That's the Pulmonoscorpius. This giant arthropod lived around 340 million years ago during the Carboniferous period and grew up to 70 centimeters long. And yes, it's almost as big as a cat. But instead of fur, it has a tough exoskeleton, large pincers, and a terrifying stinger on its tail. Pulmonoscorpius is no joke when it comes to hunting. With its powerful pincers, it can grab its prey before finishing it off with its tail. And as for the venom, we're not sure how potent it really is. But based on its size and the era it lived in, it was probably enough to stop small vertebrates back then, and make anyone with good instincts back away. In addition, Pulmonoscorpius was not alone. During that time, almost every corner of the forest was home to giant creatures. That's why seeing a gigantic scorpion back then was as normal as seeing a squirrel on a tree today. Imagine the situation. You're walking, and instead of a small squirrel, a giant Scorpio passes by on the road. And if you're already careful with small scorpions nowadays, just imagine how tense you'd be if you stumbled upon one as big as a Pulmonoscorpius. You'd instantly get a flight response here, and you might even run away from your own shadow. With its appearance like a mini monster, this is probably the definition of staying safe at a distance. Number 1, Giliptodon. Imagine an armadillo, then now add armor to it like a tank. That's what Giliptodon can do. A gigantic prehistoric creature that's a relative of the armadillo and sloth. It's like a fusion of an armadillo and a battle tank, with a length of 3 meters and a weight of up to 2 tons. It's as big as a Volkswagen Beetle, and almost its entire body is covered in a hard shell, enough to scare off any predator that tries to get close. Its armor is made of bony plates that cover its entire body. Even its head has a bony helmet for extra protection. And its tail is like a real club, strong and can be used to defend itself or drive away anyone who tries to attack from a distance. But despite its scary appearance, it is a herbivore and spends its days eating plants and grass. And it walked in South and North America from 2 million to 10,000 years ago. That's why its discreet lifestyle is so unique and effective. Because even when humans arrived, it is believed that it disappeared due to climate change and human hunting. Between the toads from hell, giant scorpions as big as cats, and giant sloths, we can see that life on Earth back then was like a live show of giant horrors. And the funniest part is, many of these giants were herbivores and just quietly ate plants, but they were bigger and scarier than their modern versions today. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe to our channel. And if there's anything else you want to know or want us to make content about, just leave a comment in our comment section.